Hey everyone, I'm Amy Major, and tonight we're going to make lasagna in the Brilliance non-stick loaf pans. These are the extra long loaf pans, and they come in a set of 2. They have lids. I've already sprayed the inside. I'm just going to sit this off. The good thing about this recipe is it's actually enough to make 2 lasagnas. You can have one for tonight and put one back in your freezer. So if you're a meal prep person, you're going to love this. If not, you can have the recipe and just do one at a time. It would be perfectly fine. So I've kind of been working on this a little bit already. And over here in my Brilliance non-stick, this is the 5-quart non-stick pan. I have some hamburger and onion. I am going to use our smooth edge can opener. The recipe calls for petite diced tomatoes, 2 cans. We don't like things so chunky, so I'm substituting tomato sauce. So, just want to make sure and get the thing there in between the 2. I don't feel like that's dripping. There we go. And you're just going to turn it clockwise until you sort of hear it give or feel it give. I think it just did there. Then you're going to go in reverse, and that's going to make it release. So the smooth edge can opener has, like, I call it a little beak here that you can push the little knob on the side, and you can lift this lid right up. Now, this is going to have a smooth edge. You're not going to cut yourself with this. So it's great for use around kids if they want to help you in the kitchen. Or just for yourself, you know. Safety first, right? So there's one can. Here's our second can. And if you do want it a little more chunky, you could always you could do the 2 cans of petite diced tomatoes, or you could do 1 can and 1 can of tomato sauce. However you like to do things. Let my husband drain their lasagna noodles there. This recipe actually calls for not draining the noodles, and it's probably to make it easier to layer the cheese mixture on top of it. I went ahead and cooked them a little bit. They don't have to be cooked completely. So if you do not cook your noodles, you're going to want to bake for a solid hour. If you do cook the noodles, you can probably get away with 30 minutes. Maybe 40 to 45. Okay, we're going to use a jar of marinara sauce. The recipe also calls for putting Italian seasoning in the cheese mixture. I'm adding it to the sauce mixture. That's where I would like to see it be. I want my cheese mixture to be more cheesy. The cheese mixture also normally would have spinach in it. If you like spinach or you just want to get your vegetables in, that's great. We're not so fond of, I like spinach okay, but not necessarily in cheese. I mean, spinach dip maybe, but not like that. So I'm just going to let this hang out right here and simmer for a few minutes while we do our cheesy part of things. And you can see this is very, it has a lot of liquid in it. Your noodles would absorb that. And I didn't cook my noodles all the way either. They're still quite yellow, so they're going to need to cook more in the oven, but maybe not for a solid hour. Okay, so we're going to come over here. I have a 16-ounce ricotta cheese. I'm just going to dump that in and break that up a little bit. Actually, I'm going to leave that open there because we're going to add 2 eggs. Then this is our small mixing bowl. I don't know that you can order the different plastic mixing bowls separate. but you can still get it as a set. There's a large, medium, and small. And I love these things. Depending on what I'm doing, depends on which bowl I use. I have also started doing some sourdough bread making, and sometimes I use the plastic bowl, sometimes I use my glass batter bowl for that. Just depends. But I definitely don't use stainless steel at all for that. So we are going to add, let me break these eggs up. If you just sort of poke your eggs, you can kind of get them to break up a little better for you so that they mix in good. I have my oven preheating to 350 degrees. Now, if you have basil on hand, that would be a great addition to this. And I think my basil in my garden has seen better days by this point. We're not extremely cold around here, but it's, yeah, I don't think it would, there's enough out there to work. Half a cup of Parmesan cheese. And I didn't take the time to grate my own this time. I bought some that's already grated. If you do that, get a good quality one. I tend to like the ones out of the deli better than the ones in the green can. I'm going to do half a teaspoon of salt. Fourth a teaspoon of pepper. All right, so as I said before, I have already sprayed my pans here. I'm going to bring them over here because that's where our noodles are. And use the small tongs here. So what we want to do is, also, this was our mix and chop that I used to break up the hamburger with. It helps to break it into a lot finer pieces. I'm going to get just a spoon here. We're going to put a layer of our sauce in the bottom. And you really just want enough, just to say you have sauce in the bottom. It doesn't have to be a big amount. Coincidentally, I said I've been making sourdough bread. These pans are really awesome for making bread. Just wanted to put that little plug in there. All right. And what we're going to do is we are going to overlap 2 of these noodles, and I think they're small enough we can put them side by side. I only did 12 noodles. It's going to be 6 for each one of these. And you can tell by the way I'm pulling these out that they're not completely flimsy. They're pretty stiff. They're not cooked through at all. So they will need a little time in the oven. Alrighty. Gonna bring our cheesy filling over here. And dollop that in. Straighten that noodle up a little bit. Alrighty. And then we're going to put a little bit of cheese. Now, I personally, the recipe just calls for mozzarella. I have a little mixture here. This is our flexible cutting mat. I've already grated my cheese. I have a little mixture of mozzarella, cheddar, and I think I have a little provolone in here too. I just kind of like the look of like the pizza cheese you buy in the store. We're big fans of cheese around our house. We don't have any issues with that, so. Then we're going to go back in with our sauce. I started to have this recipe and only do one, but then I thought, you know, it might be nice to have an extra lasagna put back in the freezer for another night. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so we are going to go back with our noodles. And this should be 3 layers when it's all said and done. Okay. And back with our cheese. And I'm hoping I have enough cheese grated that there'll be some for the top. The recipe actually shows it with leaving the sauce layer on top, but I think I want cheese on the top of mine. The sauce. You see how the sauce just sort of pulls away from the pan? That's what makes these nonstick pans really great. I mean, you could probably almost just wipe that clean with a paper towel. Noodles. Getting ahead of myself here. That went out of the way there. Lost a ball of cheese here. Got some cheese underneath on that one, so I'm just going to put a little on the top of that. Time it bakes together, it ain't gonna matter. And this one I want to have a little more because it didn't have any under it. There we go. This one out of the way. And lastly, we have our cheese. So these lids cannot go in the oven. They are not oven safe. These pans and lids, I think, are dishwasher safe, but the lids just are not oven safe. So what I'm going to do is just put some aluminum foil on top of these. The one I put in the freezer, you know, the enemy of freezer cooking is letting air get to it. So that one in particular, I want to put the aluminum foil. Sometimes I put plastic in aluminum foil. I'm just going to do aluminum foil and then put the lid on top of that. Then the other one, I'm going to pop in the oven with the aluminum foil on. And like I said, if you do not cook your noodles, you want to do an hour. If you partially cook your noodles, you may be able to get away with probably 30 minutes and then take the foil off and let it cook for another 15 just to let the top of it brown. That's what I believe I'm going to do. All right, guys. We got lasagna night in the bag. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.